Hey guys, how's it going? We got Quince here. We got his, what year is it?
92.
92 Jeep Cherokee XJ here. It's bad boys, mostly all stock. What else have you done to it, Quince? Just some bumpers and
DIY Amazon bumpers, 3-inch rusty zip, extended shackles in the back, and that's about it.
what is she lacking right now?
Traction.
We'll insert a video of that right here. This old girl needs some help. So what we got tonight is these bad boys for the front. Dana 30 Spartan locker, some royal purple synthetic gear oil, and a nice solid diff cover. We're going to slap some new axle seals in there while we're at it. But let's get to work tearing this bad boy down. Ball joints felt tight, but it was just that holding it.
Like they say, they only have like 2,000 miles on them, 3,000 miles on them, maybe.
It's not terrible looking oil. Before you pull these carrier bearing caps off, I like to take a Sharpie, preferably one you can see, and just number them here. 1, 1, 2, 2, and then that way you get the orientation right on these caps. It is crucial that they go back in the same way they came out. However, the factory will stamp on some axles, like there's a vertical Y right here and a horizontal Y right here, to tell you that, but it's just a good rule of thumb and something to practice so you never mess up, because if you mess that up, your diff will get messed up. Okay, so let's get to pulling them off. So sometimes these will fall out, other times you gotta pry them out. Depends on the carrier bearing preload that whoever set this diff up put it at. So, little trick I like to do to get this thing out of here is put a wrench on the ring gear bolt and then pry on the lower ring gear bolt, and that'll persuade this guy right on out. And make sure your bearings, your outer races are back in the original spot when you go back together, because you don't want to mix those up either. All right, so now that we got our carrier out, we can go ahead and get the locker put in this bad boy. So I like to take my right race and put it with the bearing cap, my left race and put it with its bearing cap so they don't get mixed up. Then we're gonna mark the ring gear to the carrier just so everything goes back together the way it came out. Grab your good old Sharpie again and just put a mark right there on her. That way you know the orientation it was on. So the reason why on a Dana 30 you don't have to do this for all axles for a lunchbox, but Dana 30 specifically, you can't get the locker in with the ring gear on, so you do have to pull the ring gear off this carrier. Now an 8 1/4 for sure I know doesn't need that, and it can vary per any other axle really. Ring gear is off. Okay, so now we need to get this pin out for the carrier. There is a little roll pin right in here. You need to take a punch in your hammer and punch that guy out. Better. Everything works when you have the right tool. There we go. Pin is out. So now, get the hammers out of it. Slide this pin out. Sometimes it can be a little tight. There we go. Okay, so take your spider gears, and all you're going to do is turn them, pull them out, just like that. Alright, now let's get the locker assembled and ready to put in. Okay, so here's all your locker components. New spacers, new roll pin, new pin for the carrier. And then you got your pin and spring kit. So you're going to take a spring and pin and put it in each one of these divots, like so. Sometimes it's easier to kind of tilt it sideways, like so. Okay, now you're going to depress each pin. There's going to be a hole right here. Take this little guy, stab her in there, and that'll keep it down for installation purposes. Yeah, there you go. Okay, now take your pair of pliers and bend these guys at an angle so you can slide this in the carrier just like that. So carrier's going to be right here, and it just needs to slide past it. If you don't bend it, you're not going to get it in. All right. Now, make sure you don't use any washers from your spider gears. All of that needs to be out. Take this guy, slide it in, drop it. Take this one, slide it in. This guy facing this way. Got these two, or this half in. Slide this guy, hold her up with one hand, and then take this guy with that spacer and slide her in there, just like so. Now you can take all these pins out, and I like to hold on to these because they're great if you need to ever pull your locker out again or reinstall it. I just keep the old spider gears and these pins in the box in my toolbox. It's just good stuff to hang on to if you ever need to take this apart. Almost whacked the camera. Okay. Now that this guy's in here, before we install our pin for the carrier, we're gonna take a measurement of this gap right here. All right, so Spartan wants a gap of right here of 145 to 170 thousandths. So we're just going to take our dial caliper here, zero it out, and take a measurement. And we are right at 146 thousandths, just right in spec. So that should be good to go. On my JK Dana 30, mine was actually too wide. And they say not to use the locker if it's out of spec on your carrier, but I did get away with putting a little shim back behind her. But don't tell anybody, because I wasn't supposed to do that. Okay, so now you can turn your locker sideways. Take your hardened pin, slide her in, make sure that hole is lined up with this hole. Should be kind of tight to persuade. Sometimes you got to go from the other direction. There we go. Once it starts going, it is usually pretty easy. Now, those little spacers I was telling you about are in there. What I like to take is a flathead screwdriver from the other side as I'm pounding the pin in. That way it can clear the spacer. I'll snap on a mini pry bar here. Get those guys separated, and then just hold it up with my mini pry bar and pound it through. Alright, got our hole close enough. You can take a punch and line it up. Take your new roll pin, drop her in there. Takes a sec to get her started. Alright, easy as that. Now you got a locker in your carrier. So pretty. Okay, so we got the ring gear and a vise here. Got blue Loctite on all our bolts. Gonna start threading these guys in. Okay, and as per spec, it says 55 foot-pounds on these guys. And put the axle seals in, and then we'll get this bad boy back in the Jeep. So, a little trick I like to do on these axle seals is dab a thin layer of red Loctite on the lip as you press it in. It's just going to hold it from rotating and definitely prevent any gear oil from getting past it. Set that guy in there. Just took a little persuasion. Probably rubbed a little of that Loctite off, but as long as there's still some on there, it'll be fine. So this is an axle seal installer tool, like 30 bucks on Amazon. I'll throw it down in the description, but it makes installing these a breeze. This supposedly does all Dana axles, and I've gotten it to work on most of them. So we got that seal installed. Gonna stab the other one and stab the carrier back in. got a working locker, boys and girls. Let's see. Yep, she's working. Can't wait to test her out. You excited, Quince?
Oh yeah, more than excited.
Oh yeah. All right, this beaut is ready for some traction in the front. She's got a Dana 35 in the rear. We're gonna do the next video on that. See how long it takes to blow up a Dana 35 with
Leave
a...
in the comments your
yeah.
predictions on how long it's gonna last.
Yeah, the locker costs more than the whole axle, right?
Yep.
But yeah, we'll do a video on that next and give her a run on the trails, see if it'll follow the rest of the Jeeps now. But anyways, guys, that's it for this episode. Hope you liked it. Please like and subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next one. Have a good night.